I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
We are the future, Charles, not them.
I'm kidding.
We're the X-Men, dated metaphor for racism in the 60s.
What's a Magneto? A very powerful mutant.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the X-Verse. I'm one of your hosts, I'm Nathan, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and friend Kyle, and today we are watching the 2016 movie Deadpool.
I was really hoping you would say X-Men Apocalypse, but yes, okay, we're doing Deadpool.
The inverse of last week. Yeah. No, I know. I'm not creative or as clever as you, Kyle.
You know what's weird? There is a joke in this movie that feels like a joke about X-Men Apocalypse, but this movie came out first.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, there's a lot of jokes in this movie, believe it or not.
There is at least 5 that I've written down.
That's the thing. I don't have many notes for this movie because most of the movie is just like, that's a joke. Do I just note down, I like this joke, I think it's funny? Do I just write that 100 times?
Exactly, right. Also, the movie's paced quite well. Like,
yes, this is a very snappy movie.
And this movie almost feels like it's only got 2 acts. I know like does it literally have 3 acts, but it's so quick that I feel like, in another movie, when this movie ends, we should have a whole other act.
Well, we kind of start with the second act, jump back to the first act, and then go to the third act is the thing.
Yes, that's probably where it disguises itself, you're correct.
Yeah, because it's kind of edited out of order.
I mean, Alice, I'm a sucker for a film that starts in the middle, right? You're probably wondering how I ended up here. For as long as I could remember, I always wanted to be a gangster, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right up my alleyway, right? Gives you a hard action. Deadpool 3 does the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Right? But,
it's weird coming back to this movie after Deadpool 3.
I think, Deadpool and Wolverine is amazingly different.
Yes. Surprisingly so.
Yeah,
because I have seen this movie before, but it's been a while.
Yeah, alright, so that would have been the question, when did you first come to this? But yeah, you have seen it before. Have you seen all 3 Deadpool movies then?
I have seen all 3 Deadpool movies,
right, okay,
yes.
Very good. I think I would have loved to have done this if you hadn't seen them before.
No, unfortunately Deadpool is one of the ones I watched because my dad was into it, so there you go.
There you go. This must have been a fun movie to watch with Dad.
This is a very dad movie, I think.
Yeah, it is, I suppose.
It's got boobs and it's got graphic violence. What more does a dad want?
Yeah. I just don't know if I would ever watch it with my dad, like in the same room.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Why? Because this movie's very horny?
Yeah. That's not the kind of relationship I have with my dad.
Yeah, this movie is odd. It's an odd movie. It's a good movie. I'll put that in. I like this movie quite a bit, but there's definitely some, what's the best word for this? Choices that you wouldn't expect them to make in a movie like this.
Absolutely. And is that just because, it's Deadpool, or because, it's a studio-produced movie?
Both.
Right,
I think both.
Okay.
Like, they do their very best to make Deadpool, like, a sincere character despite everything. If that makes sense.
Yes, they do. Yes, absolutely. It's like he does wacky things in the motion of the task, but then between tasks there's emotional beats.
Yes. We're okay. We start with the bridge, right?
We start with the bridge.
We start on the freeway. Classic opening.
Yeah. Iconic opening. Now, this was the sequence that leaked in 2014 as test footage that Ryan Reynolds may or may not have been involved in the leaking of to convince Fox to make this film. Which I remember watching this test footage at the time. I think when it came out, the Deadpool game on the Xbox 360 might have not been long out, or been out for a year or so. I can't remember when that game came out, but that was like my first real introduction to Deadpool's probably the 360 game. A game I've actually never played, but I remember when it came out. And then that test footage came out and I was like, that looks quite cool. It's the guy from the video game. And then when I saw the trailer for the movie, and I was like, holy shit, this is like, because I never really ever heard about what happened with that test footage. I was like, they're actually, this test footage isn't just nothing, they're actually reshooting it for the film. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's good. it's Deadpool is a very strange character, right? Like, just conceptually.
Yes, absolutely.
He has a weird costume. He's a bit, like, his design-wise, he looks like a typical edgelord type with the two swords in his back. He's covered in guns and all that.
He's like a Daredevil crossed with a Spider-Man.
Yeah, basically. But his whole deal is that he's goofy and wacky and he breaks the fourth wall.
Yes, which is just very not a character that should be able to be introduced into a cinematic universe.
Yes, but I think this movie works just because at this point we're well into the MCU era where superhero movies are just a fact of life. So we're at the point now where you can introduce the weird subversive character.
Was this the start of the subversion of the superhero genre, not including like Watchmen? Because now we've got stuff like The Boys or Invincible and stuff. I know there are different kinds of subversion, but like the just sort of pointing and
part of
laughing
me
at
wants
the
to fight
tropes.
back against that, and that Deadpool isn't even that subversive. He's just different.
Yeah, but he like,
you know what I mean?
Point and laughs and acknowledges the absurdities.
He does make fun of
things.
superhero tropes,
yes,
right? But that doesn't mean he's not still doing superhero stuff in this movie. He just
it's
murders
like
more people.
It's okay that they made a Death Star for The Force Awakens because a rebel general said that's another Death Star.
But like he's lampshading, but he is at the end of the day going on an adventure to save a girl, right? So,
and you're a sucker for a love story, Kyle.
I'm obviously a sucker for a love story. This movie, Deadpool tells me it's a love story, so I guess I love it, right?
Yeah, it's your only choice as a critic is to but fall in line.
To be fair, okay, Ryan Reynolds, obviously, like, basically perfect casting for this role. There's a reason they brought him back, right?
Absolutely.
Because Deadpool as a character on screen only works with a very specific kind of actor who can just vamp for days.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this movie is improv. I assume a lot of it is improv, though.
So, from what I've heard over the years, doing like bits of readings and stuff, and I read some stuff last night after I watched the movie, or even when I was watching it, is that it's actually quite tightly written for what they shoot, but I think a lot of it is sort of ad-libbed in rehearsal, but then like they go, oh, that shit, we'll dump that. But then when they come up with good stuff, they're like, right, we'll write this into the script and then we actually shoot it for real. We'll actually have like a curated version of what the ad-libbing was.
I guess that makes sense because a lot of Deadpool's lines are going to be dubbed because he's got the mask on, right?
Yeah, well, that's a quick aside here. I think the ADR in this movie is actually quite bad for Deadpool with the mask on.
I'll be honest, I don't really notice that much.
So I have never noticed it before. But watching it now, maybe it's just because Deadpool 3 is fresh in my brain. It's especially a lot of the stuff with Doopender in the cab. Maybe because it's really like, it's a really intimately shot moment, so the camera isn't that far away from his face.
Mm-hmm.
It's so clear that his mouth isn't saying the words, or even if he is, the mask isn't. They haven't got the mask technology from a production standpoint down yet, because in the future movies, I think when he speaks, it's very obvious that, yes, fine, it's all ADR'd anyway, but it matches up with the mouth movement a lot better, where in this movie, a lot of the time, it's just not present, or when it is present, it just seems disjointed. Doesn't ruin the movie, it's just, I wanted to bring it up because I was very aware of it watching this.
I'll say on that point, though, is Deadpool one of the best live-action comic designs we've gotten in any of these movies?
Interesting.
I genuinely think this design is perfect.
It is really good. It is a really, really good adaptation. I can't. Yeah, I mean, I was going to try again. There was a need for me to push back on you there, but I kind of can't disagree with you. Actually, I think that at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, we get some really nice suits, Kyle.
But we never see those again. So.
Yeah, but you know they're real nice suits. You know, some of the Iron Man suits are absolutely amazing in the Iron Man movies. They're really accurate to their comic book source material.
I think they managed to do this before the new Spider-Man movies, but the fact that they have the eyes actually emote is so critical to the movie.
Yeah, because if it was just like a dead mask, you'd just sooner maybe think they should have went like the Batman route and just gave him eye holes and then put black eyeshadow on, you know?
Which would have looked bad.
Yeah, well, that would be reminiscent of X-Men Origins Wolverine Deadpool with the black diamonds,
yes.
Right?
They do crack a few jokes about that.
Yeah, I'll sew your mouth shut. Oh, I wouldn't do that.
He has a little action figure of himself for some reason.
His prized possession.
His prized possession.
No, but his prized possession was Wham, Kyle. He's like, I'm a big Wham fan, Kyle, right? And
who doesn't like Wham?
You know what I think Wham isn't spoken about much, because this was the same year that George Michael died.
Right, okay.
Unrelated, I believe, right? But yeah, it's very nice to see Wham getting referenced. Not, in fact...
Quite a few needle drops in this movie.
Yes, there are quite a few needle drops in this movie, isn't there? We get X Gon Give It To You, Kyle.
Yes, that's the most on-the-nose one.
That's probably the standout one, the one everyone still talks about.
I can't remember what song it is over the opening credits, but that's a classic one as well.
Oh, A Mullet of Love.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Then I actually really, not to keep going for Wham here, but I quite like at the end of this movie where Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is actually singing the lyrics in time with the backing track as it takes over to credits. And it's just fun hearing Deadpool actually sing the songs instead of just exist with them.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I know that Ryan Reynolds is... Some people just don't like his style, right? But I genuinely think that Ryan Reynolds is usually quite funny.
Yeah, I think he's a funny man. I don't know people that don't really like Ryan Reynolds.
I think there's not every joke in this movie lands, and that's just a fact of life, because it's the style of comedy where they just throw a joke at you every 5 seconds, and some of them are going to land and some of them are going to not land, and that's just how it is.
Absolutely, that is just the nature of things, yeah.
Like, there's one where it goes in slow motion, and he's like, did I leave the stove on? And that just doesn't land at all for me.
Is that a reference to something?
I think it is a reference to something,
because
but if you don't get the reference, it doesn't mean anything.
There is a Family Guy joke from years ago, well before this movie came out. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, the parents are away, Peter and Lois, and Stewie and Brian are looking after the kids. Keep in mind, Stewie's a baby, right?
Yeah, I know.
And they're both sitting in, like, Peter and Lois's bed at night, like, sleeping together, like the parents, and, like, Brian's reading a book, and Stewie's doing knitting with little glasses on, little half-moon glasses, being, domestic husband and wife.
Yeah,
And then he just randomly goes, did I leave the stove on? And he just kind of lingers on it and goes, no, and goes to bed. And I've never really, for some reason, it sticks in my brain, right? I've never really found it funny. I've never understood it. But then when I hear it in this, I'm like, what is this a reference to? Have I cared enough to Google, Kyle? The answer is no, right? The answer is no. But I just needed to air it because it's something that haunts my brain.
No, I mean, it's probably a reference to, like, a 60s sitcom, I had to guess. That's my guess. It's a reference to, like, I Love Lucy or something like that, probably.
Yeah. An old sitcom probably seems like that would be more appropriate, yeah.
But yeah, so there's jokes like that. There's a lot of very 2016 references in this movie, especially with, like, the teen dialogue.
Yeah, don't forget to hashtag it in your tweet. Can I tell you the joke? None of the jokes, a joke that just never lands for me in this film. All the Hugh Jackman jokes, all of them. I think that I used to. I know I used to laugh at them. Whereas doing the Hugh Jackman voice, it rhymes with Pulverine, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. How he got his own movie. That's very funny. When the joke is that Deadpool is a bit of a financial risk, and he's not really being paired up with the big X-Men because, like, the character has to prove himself, is like a current affairs kind of joke as to why this movie's been made.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't work anymore when Deadpool is the second biggest character in the X-Men universe.
Yes, and his most recent movie just had Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in it, right? Brought back from retirement to critical acclaim.
I don't mind that because, like, having Hugh Jackman in the third movie is, like, a thing that's been built up as a joke in the previous 2 movies. Like, oh, we'll never get Hugh Jackman, right? So
yes, but I just feel like those jokes are very kind of current affairs-y kind of jokes. Like, when you're sitting in the cinema, is the movie's coming out funny? But then as the movie ages, I'm not critiquing their appearance, but
I will say too, there is a different vibe to watching this movie on your own as opposed to watching it with an audience. This feels like a movie you need an audience for.
Yeah, so much. A lot of the TJ Miller jokes in this film I just don't find funny at all. And I think in the cinema, I would have found them funny. There's jokes he makes about Freddy Krueger having coitus with a topographical
like
map
an avocado
of Utah.
or something.
Or an avocado had sex with an even angrier and uglier avocado, right? All very funny in a group setting, right? You can sit and say that to each other and get a good ha-ha laugh and then move on with your night. The specificity of the topographical map of Utah, technically quite funny. But sitting at midnight watching the movie in your room alone, it's just, there's nothing to play off of here. You can't look at someone and go, ha 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 ha. I just go into my notes and go, that wasn't very funny, TJ Miller.
Well, look, TJ Miller, another one of those maybe don't Google him guys, you know?
Yes, I agree. I would not Google TJ Miller.
Or maybe do, because the story's absolutely buck wild. But yeah.
Buck wild.
Yeah, he is in this movie. You know who I think is actually a standout in this movie, and who just doesn't get her dues in the next two movies, is Monica Bellucci.
Really? Yeah, she's really strong in this.
She's good. She's actually able to keep up with Ryan Reynolds and all his weird vamping.
Yes, I think that this is because this is the only movie where she's
a character.
Yeah, in the second movie, she's dead. And then she's literally fridged, you know?
Yes.
And then in the third movie, she's even less in the second, and she's barely in the second. In the second movie, she's really powerful at the start, really powerful at the end, and nothing in the middle. In this movie, she is kind of laced throughout it. That probably though is benefiting by the fact that the movie starts in the middle, where she would be in it as little as possible. Yeah,
because we kind of cut back to, there's a lot of non-Deadpool in this Deadpool movie.
Yes, there is, which I actually think works to the benefit of the film.
I think it works because it's interesting to me that Wade Wilson is basically the same guy before all this happens.
Yes, it would seem to me that, you know, the mutations didn't change who he was. He was always this person.
Yeah, he's always weird. Although I don't think he breaks the fourth wall in any of the flashbacks.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. The fourth wall breaking is unique to his mutation.
He gained instant regenerating powers and also the ability to know that he's in a movie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and the movie strikes a weird tone with this stuff too, because they just let his backstory be extremely dark.
Yes, they do.
I mean.
They absolutely do. But I think, you know, when you've opened your movie with a really fun fight sequence on a bridge where you know he's not going to die at the end of the start backstory, sure, make it. It's not like it's ending in death. It's ending in like we're getting into the swing of things, you know. Got to get worse before it can get better.
That brings us to the villain of the piece, Ajax.
I don't know.
What do you think about Ajax?
I don't know who this is in the comics.
I don't know if it is anyone in the comics, to be honest.
He's a villain in Rebel Moon, Kyle. He's Zack Snyder's fascist.
He's a season 3 villain from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if ever I saw one.
Yeah, I would say less than that. He's like henchman number 3 to the right.
Yeah.
He's someone that Deathlock would have stamped on.
Right, yeah. For one of his one cameos per season roles.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right. I think he works in this movie and would never work in any other appearance. Like, he should never come back, right?
No, yeah. He's generic evil man.
I think he is the definition of a villain who's only a villain in a very personal story, right? Mm-hmm. Or like,
I mean, he's just a dick, basically.
Yeah, he's like an arms dealer he's basically got Deadpool's powers minus the facial awfulness.
He doesn't have the regen powers, I don't think. He's just...
Does he? He's got the regen powers.
He says that he has enhanced reflexes and he doesn't feel pain, but also he does appear to have some level of super strength as well.
Yeah, he definitely has some sort of super strength. Right, okay, so he doesn't just have Deadpool's powers. He's also maybe a super genius because he knows how to make people become mutants, and he has the white lab coat on. And he's maybe
in a different movie, this would be William Stryker again.
Yes, it would be William Stryker. He's working for a guy in a suit that's going around giving calling cards, or is the guy in calling cards working for Francis?
I think the guy in the suit is working for him.
Right, okay.
They establish in this movie that anyone can become a mutant if you torture them long enough.
Yes, everyone has the mutant gene within them, and you just need to activate it. It's just dormant in everyone. And
Which I think probably is established lore in the comics, but never really think the movies have explored before.
yeah, isn't the Terrigen Mist supposed to do that, or is that just for Inhumans?
Okay, well, confusingly, Inhumans and mutants are different things, despite the fact that they seem very similar.
Yes, okay, right. Okay. We're not going to labour on that. We'll just move on.
Yeah.
And well, speaking of mutants, Kyle, why don't we talk about some of our X-Men in this film?
Oh, all two of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that once again, the X-Mansion is a different building because it has to be a different building in every single movie.
Yes, this feels like... the word escapes me. Aristocrat. An aristocratic home somewhere
It's
in
weird.
England.
From the outside, it looks like that, and then from the inside, the Colossus is just sitting in like a modern kitchen.
Yes, he is. And I believe the lobby, like the reception area of the X-Mansion is just the same set when they open the door when Deadpool comes a knocking. It's the same set from like the other films.
I think so, yeah. But obviously they can't afford more than two X-Men. But I think they made a good choice if they had to pick two.
Yes, I so do. I think they got a really good pairing.
I love Colossus in this movie so much.
This is my favourite Colossus.
I love that he's in. I think you had this in his notes. He's in an X-Man movie and no one else is.
Yeah, yeah. I have that in my notes.
Yeah, he's coming in like it is time to be the bigger man, be big hero.
Yes, it's in my notes. I've got Colossus is living in an X-Men film. This is not a real X-Men film. He's like, every 4 or 5 moments. That is the whenever someone can be a hero in 4 or 5 moments, and then obviously Francis is just shot in the head by Deadpool at the end. Spoilers. And Colossus just responds to him being shot in the head by violently throwing up, going, "Oh, why did you do that?" And then Deadpool's like, "Yeah, I'll look for the other 4 moments in my life to be a hero."
I wish we got to see this Colossus in actual X-Men movies, interacting with the rest of the cast.
I think this Colossus is worthy of continuing, actually. Is he in Deadpool 3? No. Is he?
He is, for he's in like the group shots where they're in the house.
Yeah, he's in the family home, yeah. I wonder if the people in that family home were like, it's like a lifeboat for the Foxverse. Like, if you made it into that home shot, you're...
Hugh Jackman's coming along, Negasonic Teenage Warhead's coming along.
Yeah,
Blade Val's coming along.
Yeah, exactly, right? But yeah, so that's it. We've got Colossus, our wonderful adaptation, because usually it's just...
The design is great as well, by the way. Just this big metal man.
Big metal man who we never see actually be human, and his outfit is great.
I get the impression that this Colossus can't change back. He's just like this all the time.
Just like this all... Yeah, I can believe that.
But, it's such a... it's not shiny. Like, the other Colossus in the previous movies is a big shiny man. It's more sort of like cast iron.
Yes, yeah, more like cast iron, you're right. Yeah, he isn't polished at all. Mm-hmm. Which is for the best. We don't need big silver surfers walking around.
He's obviously CGI, but, it's not to a distracting degree.
Yeah, no, I think because the colour palette of this film is very muted, actually.
Yes.
Which I'd forgotten
especially
about.
compared to the third movie.
Especially compared to Deadpool and Wolverine, yeah. Even, I think Deadpool 2's got more colour than this, or maybe that's half and half.
Yeah, this movie has a very grungy look to it.
If you told me Zack Snyder done this, I wouldn't be surprised,
There is a lot of gratuitous slow-mo.
Yeah, there is. But that's one half of our X-Men.
Uh-huh.
We also have...
Yes.
This
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which Deadpool and me have the same amazement in that name.
It's very good.
It's a crazy name. Is this a real character?
Yeah, it's a real character.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never made an appearance in the movies before, Kyle.
It's an obscure character, you're talking about your generations of X-Men. Obviously, you have the first class of your Jean Greys and your Cyclopses and your Beasts, right? Then you have the second class of Storm and Wolverine in that group. You have to get to the 4th or 5th class before you're getting to Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Okay. I've never actually quite heard it labelled out in that sense, but yeah, you're right. But
wonderful. Just the buzz cut hair and the just trench coat and the goth look and just the Deadpool has her down to a T. He's like, what's it going to be, a sarcastic comment or just a nothing stare? And she's like, you got me in a box here, you know? Deadpool's just...
she makes a good contrast to Colossus.
Yeah, Colossus he's trying to be a helpful mentor. You know, but Negasonic Teenage Warhead, she knows what this is like. She's like, why the hell are we going and taking the X-Jet? This house gets blown up every few years. This is where we get that reference of,
Exploding house builds character.
Exploding house builds character. Yes, absolutely. And the fact that this came out before X-Men Apocalypse is just quite funny, actually.
I think the explosion was in the trailers, wasn't it? But still.
I don't remember, but yeah. It's
has it exploded before that? In any of the other movies?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. It gets attacked for several times, but yes. I don't remember it exploding.
It is attacked several times. I guess...
Oh no, you said it explodes in the road cut, doesn't it?
It does explode in the road cut, yes, absolutely. So is this...
But that's in the future.
Yeah. Yes, that's not happened yet. But maybe when they were making this, the road cut had just been released. You know, who knows? And they're like, well, that's the canon version.
Nod. Yeah.
That's the canon one, you know? But yeah, so... And probably know Deadpool and X-Men Apocalypse were being made in the same lot, you know? So they probably were in and out of each other's sets.
Well, I mean, they play into it in this movie that they don't know which universe it's set in and they don't care.
I think that's code for we hadn't decided yet. It was all about if this movie was going to be a success or not, you know? And...
Because, like, obviously they're making meta references, like, to Hugh Jackman and X-Men Origins Wolverine. There's the joke where he's being dragged to the X-Mansion. It's like, McAvoy or Stewart, these timelines are so confusing.
Yeah, right. Like, this film feels like a real breath of fresh air for the just this makes no sense.
Oh, it's a real contrast to Apocalypse, isn't it?
A real contrast. Two movies in the same year, couldn't be more different. Now, before Wade becomes Deadpool, Kyle, he has 41 confirmed kills.
Yes.
This is less than The Thing and Fan Forstick, who had 43 confirmed kills.
He had 43, yeah.
But then by the time he did become Deadpool and he was going to find Francis, he was up to 89 before he killed the Suit Man. So he had surpassed The Thing eventually.
I mean, are we counting all of the millions of people who died in that big crater as Thing kills? Because he might win on that regard.
Interesting thought, Kyle. Interesting thought. I'm not going to blame him.
No, I guess that's Doom, isn't it?
It's all Doom. All Doom. Don't make the Super Suit greener animated. We got Green Lantern jokes.
Yeah, we have a couple Green Lantern jokes.
Yep.
I'm sure there was a shot in, I think it's in the opening credits, where you see Green Lantern as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely we do. Would you want to talk about the opening credits?
Oh, the opening credits, the art credits, all? Yeah.
Which it's just wonderful. I actually almost feel like if you forget it's a joke, and you see credits, I think a lot of people just tend to look away because people just don't read them. But in the cinema, your eyes are just glued to everything that's happening. That was getting a big laugh.
Yeah, well, it's starring the main character, a woman, a CGI character, an obnoxious teenager, written by the real heroes. Produced by
asshats. Who was it directed by, like, a hack, did it say?
An overpaid tool,
I think.
I did note there's a nice little Easter egg in these opening credits, which is there's a coffee cup flying through the sky and it has Rob L written on the label, because Deadpool was created by Rob Liefeld.
Yes, yeah.
There you go. A little Easter egg, you know.
Yeah,
I like an Easter egg.
He gets a reference in Deadpool and Wolverine as well, where they're doing their like a prayer bit. Yeah, we'll come back to that in Deadpool and Wolverine when we get there. But yeah, that I think this is probably the biggest character he's ever come up with, and oh boy, he's certainly cashing in on that, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
There's a Faulty Towers joke, Kyle, in this film.
I must say I missed that because I'm not as familiar with Faulty Towers as you are.
So yeah, it's a John Cleese sitcom that lasted for I think 12 episodes in the 70s.
It's got a British cult following, I know that much.
Yes, it does have a British cult following. It's very, very funny to this day. It's still very funny. And he runs a John Cleese, Basil Fawlty, runs a hotel bed and breakfast in Torquay, which is in the very, very south of England, right? And it's called Fawlty Towers, right? And Ryan Reynolds apparently knows of this because he, when speaking to Francis, who is English, was talking about different things, just yapping. I can't even quite remember what. He said, "Is it Basil Fawlty?" And I was like sitting taking my notes because of someone else who appears in this scene. But then I had to pause and I was like, did he just make a Fawlty Towers reference? and this? And he does. It's crazy.
Nathan, you know that I'm a fan of referencing obscure British sitcoms where they don't belong. So there you go.
Well, so the other thing I was taking my note on in this scene before I noticed that was Gina Carano is in this.
Gina Carano is in this, playing her third character in these movies called Angel.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about it. So the other one's Angel from The Last Stand, and are we considering Apocalypse Angel's a different Angel?
No, Angel in First Class.
Oh, yeah. You're right, with the wings and the acids, but yeah, very good. Mm. Yeah.
I think this character is technically called Angel Dust, but whatever.
Whatever. She be muscle person.
She be Gina Carano doing the only character Gina Carano knows how to play.
Yeah, well, I didn't know Gina Carano. Despite having seen this movie before, I've never quite noticed that was Gina Carano. I think probably the first time I ever noticed her was in Mandalorian. Probably the last time I'll ever notice her either.
You don't watch all her Ben Shapiro productions, no?
No, I confess. I do not.
Where she plays like a lady on the prairies or whatever.
It's good for her. Never heard of it. We have a fun Where's Francis montage where he's getting different versions of his super suit scale with the Deadpool.
That is a fun montage. It still crosses the line into like there's no way this guy could make this costume because it's clearly made by a Hollywood costuming department, but whatever, right?
Yes, I mean I can. Yeah, that's it is a little bit stretches believability that he would be able to make this costume because it's very clearly made in a Hollywood production studio. But I can see where he gets the idea for making Super Suit red, and that's from his flatmate Kyle, Blind Al. Mm-hmm. We get some fun moments with the two of them, don't we?
She's really good as well in this movie. It's just like there's a lot like Ryan Reynolds has such a vibe, and you need to be able to keep up with him, and she's able to do it as well, of just like the keeping up with his nonsense.
Yeah, it's almost like she's done with his shit at all times.
Yes.
Which works perfectly, because he's just chaos. There was one thing that Deadpool Wade Wilson does in this movie that I completely relate to. Uh-huh. So he comes into the flat and he puts on his Crocs and he just sighs with relief. And that's how I feel. Are
you a big Crocs fan?
I'm wearing Crocs right now, Kyle.
Oh my god, you're actually confessing that on mic. My goodness.
I'm confessing that on mic. I used to hate Crocs, right? I thought they were a weird shoe for a weird person, right? Mm-hmm. And then I just learned, and they are truly, don't think I would wear them outside, Uh-huh. But they are just, I say I wouldn't wear them outside. I climbed a volcano in Crocs, Kyle. And I was in Greece and I was in Santorini, and Santorini is this big culvert with lots of islands in the middle, or around it. And then in the centre of this big bay where all the cruise ships come in, there's this island, and it's an active volcano. It's a dormant volcano, but it's still active. There's sulfur fumes and all over it, and you can do a tour and you go right to the top of it. But I was also doing an excursion where I would swim in the volcanic hot springs as well. So I thought, I don't want to wear shoes. So, and I only had kind of casual shoes. I didn't have mountain climbing shoes on. And I thought, right, well, I'm wearing Crocs up this volcano. And let's just say...
They carried you to victory, did you?
They carried me to victory, and they're in perfect condition, and they're just so comfy. They're so good. I'm a out-and-out Crocs convert. And
this is very brave of you. I just want to commend you for being so brave. Taking this stance.
Thank you so much. I think it was friend of the show Ryan, I think, that might have got me into Crocs. We were on vacation once, and people had flip-flops or sliders for like going to the swimming pool between your hotel room and going to the pool. Mm-hmm. But sometimes this flip-flop can be uncomfortable and cutting between your toes, or sliders can also be like give you hacks on top of your foot, or they'll fly off as you step forward. But a croc is like, it's got a proper sole, Kyle. Like, it's a real shoe, you know? And you can just, and your feet strap. It's just great, right? It's just great. And Wade Wilson is entirely correct here, right? Coming home, putting on your Crocs, great feeling.
I do have a question about this though. What happened to his nice apartment?
Well, he ran away from his girlfriend. She stays there.
Does she stay there?
I assume so.
It wasn't. Did they live together? I guess they did.
Yeah, they live together. And when he goes to find her, when he gets out of Francis's torture lair, like, he goes back to where they live, I'm pretty sure. That's like how he knows where to find her, essentially.
I will say that oxygen deprivation torture looks genuinely horrific.
Yes. Actually, really, really bad. And
I know Deadpool makes a joke there about how this is a horror movie, but, like, yes, I agree.
yeah, it's really uncomfortable. It's such a thing that, despite never having been subject to it, I feel like I can relate to it. You get me?
Yeah.
And also so you see when you're watching a film, Kyle, right?
Yep.
And do you ever like play games, like mini games, where you're like, I could have survived that, or I would be fucking dead?
I mean, usually the answer is I would be dead.
Right? Yeah.
But yeah, sure.
Right. But how would you what would you do in this situation, kind of thing, right? So he's planning his breakout of the oxygen deprivation chamber, and he steals one of Angel's matchsticks. I think it's Angel's matchsticks.
Yeah, because she has an oral fixation.
Yes.
Blah blah blah. Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And he takes it out of his mouth and sometimes is able to throw it down to his also locked into place hand.
Yes.
It is so fake. I was like, no, you're trapped in here. You're not getting out.
Yeah.
Even when I saw it in the cinema in 2016, I was like, you didn't fucking do that. Don't pretend, film. That you've got a stunt double or anything to have him catch that matchstick from that positioning while still strapped down in an oxygen deprivation tank.
Well, look, there's a lot of things that are very convenient in this movie. Like, okay, the reason he comes to this underground dingy lab is that he gets a diagnosis of late-stage cancer. I don't think they specify what type of cancer it is. It's just late-stage cancer.
It's just spread throughout the body, though.
Yeah.
You would think you would have had symptoms before that. So it's got one of those symptomless cancers.
Yeah. He passes out at once, and that's the only symptom we see him actually have. But anyway, so he comes to this lab because the creepy man in the suit is like, hey, I can stop you from having cancer, maybe. But It seems like it's a real crapshoot, right? Like, what if he developed 1-inch spikes and that was his mutant power?
Yeah, what if he became a water blob man?
What if he became a water blob man? I forgot that in the first movie they have a guy turn into a mutant.
Yeah, that's the plot of X-Men 1.
Yeah, Senator Kelly, yeah.
Yeah, but like...
Good old not Bill Clinton.
Good old not Clinton, not Bill.
Yeah.
But Magneto's using Rogue's power for some sort of satellite antenna that'll amplify the power that he can produce. What's happening there?
I can't. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, but
that movie was 13 weeks ago. Okay, we don't have to deal with it.
We don't have 13-week-old memories. And that is to turn everyone into a mutant that gets caught in the beam. But it'll turn them all into, I assume, water blobs that won't last because it's not stable, Kyle.
But clearly he didn't know the secret was magic serum plus torture.
Magic, yeah, it is. If Magneto only knew to become a torturer, then maybe he would have got further in his endeavours.
But he doesn't have the evil heart as the Ajax does, you know?
Sure, apparently. Okay. I've seen what Magneto's done.
I don't think this scheme is really out for the long haul, right? You take all these war vets who are going to die.
Not even just war vets, just the down on their luck of society.
I think, their plan is that they're going to implant them with like a Suicide Squad style control chip and sell them as like attack slaves or whatever.
Right, okay.
So I assume that they are specifically targeting people with combat experience.
Right, okay, so a black market Weapon X project, Task Force X kind of thing. Right.
But it does seem like this plan is rife for problems, especially since they don't seem to have any security on this lab.
Yeah. I've not seen what Ajax and Angel their security, right?
I suppose so. I guess that's all you need. I would have some dudes with guns there. I don't know.
What would they have done if the person they done this to was like Hugh Jackman?
Well, I was going to say, right? It's just extremely convenient that Deadpool's mutant power happened to be complete regeneration.
Right, because see if it wasn't and the cancer wasn't cured, holy moly.
Yeah, because then you've got, like, oh, he can shoot fire, that's pretty cool, but he's still going to die in 2 weeks of cancer,
Yeah.
so this was kind of a waste of time and money.
Yeah, massive waste of time and money, but they promise him that they can cure him. But then when Deadpool's doing his Where's Francis montage, when he chases down Man in Suit is in some sort of...
Sorry, that lawnmower is really loud, isn't it?
Yes, it is, I can hear it.
Yeah, cool, great. Thanks, neighbours.
Thanks, neighbours. When we see Deadpool doing his Where's Francis chase down montage, he finds the guy in the suit and he's like... the guy in the suit's in some sort of drug cartel's drug den, speaking to someone lying in like a bed on the floor who seems really ill to probably recruit them. So what
Yes.
is this, like a drug cartel man he's also recruiting with cancer, or what?
I assume it's like an ex-army vet who's just in the crack den, right? Looking for crack.
Oh, right, a crack.
probably.
Yeah. They could be a drug addict. I assumed they were ill.
It doesn't really matter.
Well, it's like you're saying, like, who are they targeting? Are they just targeting the sick, or are they targeting ex-military people?
I think they're targeting ex-military people who are down on their luck.
Right, okay,
Right.
okay.
I don't quite know how they find these people. I guess they have access to, like, old army records or something.
Cerebro.
Cerebral, sure.
This version of Professor X is actually working for Ajax. We get a Blade 2 joke, Kyle, in this film.
We do get a Blade 2 joke,
Complete.
which is, in retrospect, is very funny.
Yes, it's actually sort of funnier with Deadpool and Wolverine now existing. Because I remember watching this at the time, because again, I've always loved Blade, thinking, that's a really funny joke. Does anyone actually remember Blade? And it's even funnier because Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes do not get on it, and we'll never see that ever be a thing that ever comes back, right? Mm-hmm. So, I just, you know what? It's just nice. It's just fun. That, unlike where, in my opinion, the Wolverine jokes feel like they've aged poorly, I think the Blade jokes just gotten funnier. But after that, Kyle, we're hot on the heels of a return of Stan Lee once more. Technically had...
a dark Stan Lee.
Darkly, yeah. So, like, had we done this in the correct order, and this was before Apocalypse, this would have been the big return.
This would have been our
Stan
grand
Lee.
return, yeah.
Yeah. But he's...
and what a return it is.
What a return it is. We got sex workers up in here, Kyle.
We've got Stan Lee in the same scene as Full Frontal Nudity. It's very it's a strange vibe because I associate Stan Lee with being a very wholesome old man.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for real, right? And I really hope that he wasn't on set at the same time as these women.
Nathan, I'm sure Stan Lee had seen a naked woman before.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to think of that. Right? I don't want to think of old people.
He's your kind of old comic book grandpa.
Yeah, I don't want to think of old people and their relationship to sex. Right? I'm fine not knowing that, right?
You can't buy love, but you can't buy 3 minutes of it or whatever.
Right, yeah,
it was.
right. I've got you can't you can't find love, but you can rent it for 3 minutes. Right? Like, absolutely insane lines from Lee over here, right? Stan, what have they paid you? This is how you going back to Fox? They're like, we will give you a strip club, Stan. Please come back.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a weird scene in the movie, I would say. This may be the least good scene in the movie.
Because
is
Vanessa.
Yeah, okay, so the bad guys have figured out who Vanessa is because they established earlier that T.J. Miller, he hung up a picture of her on the back of his board, right?
Yes.
Because T.J. Miller's a strange character in this movie. Just a quick tangent.
He runs he runs the underground bar.
He runs the underground mercenary bar, even though he himself is clearly not a mercenary.
Apparently, I think like there's someone he works for who actually owns it, who we've never actually seen in any of these movies.
Is that the
Because
case?
it says it was
Okay.
sister something, like it was like a nunnery or something.
Right.
Yeah, and then when he's like handing in the gold cards with the names on it, he says like, "Oh, don't let such and such fight." You know, there's. I think T.J. Miller isn't the leader of this. He's just the runner of it. You know.
He does run the Deadpool, though.
Yes, he runs the Deadpool. Very different kind of Deadpool from the one in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, no, it's an actual Deadpool where they're taking bets on who's going to die.
Yes.
But yeah, so anyway, the bad guys come to his bar and they find Vanessa, and I guess that also means they can track her down to where she works.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That is correct. So because we have a selfie of Wade and Vanessa together, we know everything about her.
Yeah. I mean, look, okay, that's just basic movie. That happens in every movie, right? Oh, we can backtrace the technology to find her address or whatever, right?
This
Sure.
is just a selfie.
I'm just saying this is not a problem exclusive to Deadpool. This happens in literally every movie.
Yes. True.
They reverse Google image search her and find her Facebook account. Right? Sure.
Yes,
But yeah, so they are going to the bar, and T.J. Miller tells Deadpool that they're going to go find Vanessa, so you have to go stop her. But he can't do it. He can't pluck up the courage because he has a bad face.
See, if the film hadn't done this earlier in the movie, I would have been fine with it. I actually got very tired of it happening twice where he's inches away from her and doesn't speak to her.
Same. I think it's unnecessary.
Yes,
just have him not go to the bar at all, and she gets kidnapped, and he doesn't even know.
Yeah, or he arrives there but it's too late, right? The fact that he's like in the toilet when it happens, it's just all a bit much.
Well, this comes to like Vanessa gets a message from like the bar owner or something, who's like, "Oh, there was a message for you, something about an ex." And so naturally, what you do in that situation is you go to the shady alley behind the strip club in the pouring rain in the middle of the night because someone claims to be your dead ex-boyfriend. It's just a thing that you do, Nathan.
Naturally, I'm one for doing this quite a lot actually.
Yeah, you're not sort of established as this street savvy woman who should really know better than this, especially working as a sex worker in New York. You know, this seems like some basic safety rules that you would understand.
Yeah, no, you would think that to be a thing, but no, she doesn't. And then we think, oh, maybe it's Wade because he's also in a black hoodie and he's bald, and he appears from the shadows. And oh, it's Francis.
Yeah, no, this might be the dumbest thing in the whole movie.
Yeah,
but we need Vanessa to be kidnapped for the third act. So there you go.
Yes, sometimes the scripting just needs things like there's a line earlier on in the movie I quite like where Deadpool first meets Mr. Man in the black suit, right? He calls Agent Smith. And he comes into the bar that T.J. Miller's running, and T.J. Miller says that this guy was over here looking for you, and then T.J. Miller's like, maybe you should go over and speak to him, it might progress the plot, you know? It might move the plot along. Which, sometimes movies need that. The question, but what makes a good movie is how well can you hide that?
Right.
And
I mean, this movie's not trying to hide it.
Yeah. This movie's just like, we need a mechanism in the film for something to propel the story forward, right? And that's kidnapping Vanessa.
You know what, though? I think it's a cute detail that she's wearing his old jacket.
Yeah, it's a very nice
cute.
detail. And she suits it, actually.
Oh yeah, she can pull it off. Like, Monica Bellucci's a very attractive woman, okay?
Yep.
I cannot say otherwise.
So we're heading to our final showdown. We've gone to the X-Mansion and we've asked for Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead to come and give us a hand, right? Because they're the only two people in the X-Mansion. We're not going to fly there with the X-Jet though, Kyle, are we?
No, of course not. We're going to take a taxi.
We're going to get our good old Dupender to come pick us up. We're charging with crisp high fives. But there's been a subplot, Kyle, in this movie about his romantic lover and his love rival.
Yes.
And from the last time they've encountered each other, he has since been locked in the trunk of the cab with two X-Men in the back.
Yes, because Deadpool is a bad influence.
Yes. And Colossus is just outraged and shocked that Wade would give this advice. And then Deadpool's got
because he's in an X-Men movie.
Yeah, he's in an X-Men movie, and Deadpool's like, this is wrong, I would never tell you this, this is completely out of order. And he whispers under his breath that he's really proud of Dupender, actually, and that like he knows what to do and that he should kill him. But okay, fine, we're at the place for the fight. And
You know, I like to.
Yeah.
There's no way that Colossus could actually fit in that taxi, but they just don't. They just shoot it in a way that you don't have to think about
yeah,
that.
you don't have to think about it. He's really crushed in there. He has his
It's like
smoothie.
Mr. Incredible in his tiny car.
Yeah. But he has his smoothie, Kyle. The suspension of him sitting in that car, he would have killed Upendra's love rival.
Yes.
But they've left Deadpool's ammo bag in the taxi. So we're down to our same old 12 bullets and 2 swords from earlier on in the film.
Yeah, he counts the bullets. It's a good bit.
He done it up on the
Earlier in the
highway
movie.
earlier in the movie, yeah. But now, instead of him doing it all by himself, he has 2 X-Men.
The action in this movie is very well done in terms of like having cool stuff happen and the way it's all choreographed and stuff. It's just always really fun to watch.
Yes, it absolutely is.
'Cause
It's visually
has the thing-
interesting combat.
It's visually interesting combat because he has the thing where some of you will have to share. So he shoots the bullet through 3 guys like Indiana Jones, but the third one doesn't actually land properly.
Yes, it goes just right onto his forehead and sort of dents him, but doesn't actually crack it. But this final fight is taking place, Kyle, on a
helicarrier.
Helicarrier, yeah.
Which is bizarre.
Such a bizarre little
Because
Easter egg because
they don't draw any attention to it.
No, they don't. But I think they're not allowed to because helicarriers, I believe, are still owned by Disney at this point, right?
Right, so it's technically not a helicarrier.
It's technically not a helicarrier, but it's allowed to sort of be elusively, vaguely reminiscent of a helicarrier enough that you could interpret it as one. But it's definitely got big 4 jet engines on its quadrants, right?
Oh yeah. I guess it's more of a heli, like, shipping cargo truck because it's covered in shipping containers.
Yes, that's how they're going to argue it in the courtroom.
But
It's also
they call it a scrapyard, even though it's not really a scrapyard. I guess there's some scrap out in front of it.
it's like a ship breaking yard because it's like they're
Yeah,
breaking
I guess
down the
so.
ship.
Uh-huh.
You say this film's set in New York. I have no idea if that's true.
It's set in a city. I don't know which city. I mean, they go to the X-Mansion, which is in New York State, so I just assume that it's in New York.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. We're doing a superhero landing with Angel, and Colossus is going to deal with her, clearly, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Vanessa's been put inside that oxygen deprivation chamber. What would have happened if she became a mutant?
Well, in the comics, she is a mutant, which is bizarre because they never actually go there in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Not in any of them.
Not yet. Deadpool 3 might be the most recent film we've got, but it's by no means the last that we're going to get.
I guess we'll see. I believe in the comics, she is a character named Copycat or something like that, and she's a shapeshifter.
Right, okay, interesting.
I think her deal is like, she's not as good at like spycraft stuff as like Mystique, but she can vaguely copy the powers of some superheroes.
Like a Taskmaster.
Like a Taskmaster, like she can if she transforms into the Hulk, she will be super strong, but not as strong as the Hulk, basically.
Yeah, alright, okay, like just a facsimile.
Yeah.
So, we get a superhero landing, and then Colossus just eats shit.
He's like, I would prefer not to punch lady.
But if I must. But then Negasonic Teenage Warhead turns out not to be here just to play, because she uses her powers for the first time in the movie, saving that budget, because she looks great, and burns off the trench coat just to rule the X-suit underneath. And I think she's got a great X-suit with the black and yellow, just harsh colour contrast.
It's a classic X-Men costume.
Very cool outfit, yeah. And the just sheer kinetic energy. It's like what Pink Panther. It's like what Black Panther's kinetic repulsor suit can do, where like it takes in all the hits and you can discharge it in a direction. But Negasonic,
I think her power is just literally that she can explode.
Yeah, but she can explode in directions, and then when she picks up speed, does it build up the explosion? Or is she charging
she does
the
it while
explosion
just sort
while
of sitting. She does it while just standing still as well. Because remember later she blasts Deadpool up on that thing.
Yeah. So she can just charge up the explosion.
Yeah, she's a warhead. That's hence the name.
Yes, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Yeah.
I do have to question what happens when she stops being a teenager. Just becomes Negasonic Adult Warhead.
Just Negasonic Warhead. Yeah.
I guess that's still a pretty cool name.
Negasonic Citizen Warhead.
Negasonic young adult warhead.
See, if this was Fantastic Four movie, there would be some plot line about why she can't go supernova, because she'll just be a nuke.
I mean, yeah, she does go supersonic at one point and blows out the entire base, so...
That's not supernova, though, you know? A nuke would have blown up the eastern seaboard, right? I'm surprised I'm surprised she isn't some sort of sleeper mutant that causes, like, the Marvel Civil War comic book story to happen.
I'm sure there is some sort of comic line where that happens. I don't know. Most of what I know about this character is from this movie, so...
All I know about the characters from this movie. This franchise, rather, I guess 2 and 3.
I will say, as much as I love Colossus, he could do with some martial arts training. He just sort of, like, vaguely throws fists, you know?
Yeah, I think he's too used to just fighting, like, gun runners. Like, he doesn't need to put any effort into it.
Yeah, or because he's big and bulletproof, yeah.
Yeah, like, this is the first time he's actually had to do a fight. That's why I've never seen him in an X-Men movie before. Some part of, like, my pure nerd comic book brain is like, I think it would be pretty cool to watch this Colossus fight the Hulk. And that's just, like, pure comic book brain, like, what if my action figures smashed into each other? I think the Hulk would wreck this Colossus.
He would, yeah, but it would be fun to watch.
It would be fun to watch, yes. Oh, you're right, watching a metal man being dismembered.
We didn't mention, there's a part where Deadpool tries to fight Colossus, and he just breaks all his arms and legs trying to punch him.
Yeah, and he's like, you haven't seen, you know, all the dinosaurs were afraid of the T-Rex. He's got 2 broken hands, and he turns around and he breaks his legs. Yeah.
Oh, it's good. But of course Deadpool has to fight Ajax, and that fight's just fine.
Yes, Negasonic and Colossus are just preoccupied with Angel down on the ground. But we go up to the top of the helicarrier, Ajax and Deadpool fight. It's a nice, entertaining fight, but I can't really describe choreography in any great detail. Deadpool wins. Shock. And then the helicarrier is falling over because of Negasonic explosions to take down Angel. And then they're falling. They put Vanessa back inside the oxygen deprivation chamber because it's now the vessel for her saviour, Kyle. And then we fall. But everything's fine. Why is everything fine? I can't remember.
I mean, because Deadpool can't die and the X-Men find Vanessa.
The X-Men find Vanessa, right, okay. The moment that they fall, I was like, I don't actually remember what happens here.
There is a funny moment in the Angel Colossus fight where she has a wardrobe malfunction.
Yes, she does have a wardrobe malfunction, and Colossus becomes very chivalrous, and Angel's very appreciative of it.
Punches him in the metal trunk is what she does.
Punches him right in the middle. She takes full advantage of Colossus's chivalry.
I know we've joked, but Angel has no personality in this movie whatsoever. She's just a thug.
She's head henchman.
She's head henchman. She's head henchman to a character we already described as a 3rd level henchman.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. The only bit she got out of me is where she feels like she becomes a person for 5 seconds when she has that wardrobe malfunction, and Colossus is all chivalrous and she's very appreciative of that, you know? Then she completely takes advantage of Colossus's kindness. Like, he should have just continued to wail on her.
But yeah, this is when we get the 4 or 5 moments thing. Good bit.
Yeah, this is where we get the 4 or 5 moments to be a hero. In your whole life, you'll get 4 or 5 moments to be a real hero. Wade, choose now to use one of your moments. And then he just decides, no, I'm going to shoot him in the head. But now we actually get a moment for Vanessa and Wade to be together and talk, and for Wade to remove his mask and for them to reconcile, Kyle.
It's a face she could sit on.
It's a face she could sit on after some readjustment, Kyle. But before he takes off the mask, there's a Hugh Jackman magazine face underneath it.
You stapled it to his face, yes.
We all sighed. But then we get a nice narration to credits with "This is your friendly neighborhood." Yeah.
I do have a genuine question for you.
Okay.
Is Wade's face that bad?
I think you have gotten very used to it.
Okay. It's just because I'm used to seeing it.
Yes, he is a walking fire-scarred person.
Yeah, but like, I've seen scarred burn marks that look much worse than what he has.
He's kept the basic shape. Like, I don't think he's needed any... Obviously, it's a mutation, it's not actual scarring. But he's not needed facial reconstruction surgery. It's just the structure he has all been... paper thinly disfigured. I think if you saw that person walking past you in the street, it would probably twig your eye for a second.
Okay.
I mean, listen, I wouldn't want to look like that. The film puts a big deal into, like, his self-conscious anxieties of everyone thinking stuff about him as he walks past them.
Yeah,
It's probably a justified fear to have on his part. Like, I do think he is definitely someone who would stand out in a crowd. It's just we've been exposed to it for 10 years or 8 years now.
Right.
That we're just used to it.
Okay. I'm just used to it. Okay. That's fine. A part of this movie is he wants Ajax to to reverse this.
Reverse the looks,
And
but keep the powers, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know why Wade believes that. I guess he's just hoping, but based on everything we know about Francis, there's no reason to believe that he's being genuine, that he can actually fix it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because Ajax is the person that put him in this position and Ajax was fucking with him. Maybe he's like... Because, as we know, Deadpool has these anxieties about reappearing to Vanessa with this appearance, so he's just hopeful.
I guess that's it, yeah. It seems like he's too savvy to fall for that based on the rest of the movie.
This is his one big weakness. He's just hopeful in this one area.
Mm-hmm.
And he never becomes an X-Men, but Colossus is like, we'll make an X-Men out of you yet, Wade.
There's a lot of, in this movie, of Ryan Reynolds being like, did you guys know that I'm really sexy, though?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
There's, I think, in the opening credits, there's a shot of him as, like, Time's Sexiest Man of the Year, or whatever.
Yes. Uh-huh.
He has a joke where he's like, do you think Ryan Reynolds got this successful based on his acting career?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds wants us to know that he knows that he's hot.
And you know what? Good for him.
Good for him. I wish we should all aspire to such confidence.
We should all aspire to such confidence. You know what? And this movie paid off big time for him. And Fox.
Oh, yeah.
This was such a gamble for them.
Ryan Reynolds is set for life on those Deadpool royalties now, I think.
Oh, yeah. This is, I mean, listen, Ryan Reynolds was a working actor in Hollywood prior to Deadpool coming out, but he was definitely a known person. He wasn't unknown.
Yeah, he was in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, he was in R.I.P.D. with Jeff Bridges.
He was in several rom-coms, I believe.
Yes, of course. He's done tons of bits. He was in Blade Trinity with Wesley Snipes. Ryan Reynolds has always been known person in the industry. I think he probably would have been one of those people that was just going to be set for life on his royalties anyway. But now he has so much creative and business control, whereas in his previous roles he probably hasn't. That this is, he's now one of in the upper class of Hollywood's money, you know? Like, this is real, this is really something he's got here. And he's Canadian, Kyle.
He is Canadian, and he made Deadpool Canadian.
He made Deadpool Canadian. Wonder how Rob feels about that. Or has Deadpool always been Canadian? Rob might also be Canadian.
I don't know. I definitely don't think Deadpool is usually Canadian, but I think it's funnier that he's Canadian.
You'll take it. I mean, in Deadpool and Wolverine, there is a Canada pool.
There is a Canada pool. There is also the amazing joke at the start of Deadpool and Wolverine, which got a big laugh in my audience. We'll get to it when we get to it.
We get there, yeah. But
yeah,
that was Deadpool 2016. We've done it. The post-credit scene is of a Ferris Bueller's Day Off reference. He's in the big red and white stripy toothpaste-looking bathrobe with the Deadpool mask on.
Yep.
Been like, the movie's over. You can go. Which I think is funny, but funnier if you've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? Because post-credit scenes back then were just such a novelty that to have it just included here is just great. And then he's like, but you probably want a little, what were you expecting? Sam Jackson and a saucy leather number, you know? We don't have the budget for that, so go. And then it fades to black, and it says, we thank, this film funded however much employment for however many people. And it comes back, and he's like, okay, I'll tell you what the plan is for Deadpool 2 if this is successful. He's like, we're going to have Cable as a time-traveling robot, and then he's telling you who we could get to play him, a Mel Gibson, or even a Keira Knightley. She's quite versatile. Then we get the chicka-chicka, and that's it.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Right.
And then they did do Cable, so there you go.
They did do Cable, not with Keira Knightley or Mel Gibson, though.
No, with Thanos.
It was with Thanos, which we can talk about.
Or Hal Jordan, maybe. I guess we'll find out.
Or Hal Jordan we get there, yeah. But yeah, so that's Deadpool 2016. Kyle, we enjoyed this, didn't we?
Yeah, this is a good movie.
Well, why don't you
It's-
tell us what we're going to be enjoying next week?
Well, Nathan, next week we are going to be doing what many consider to be the best movie in this entire run, which I have not seen before. We are
Okay.
going to be doing 2017's Logan.
Interesting. I kind of assumed you had seen this before.
Nope.
Right, okay. Oh, the stakes are high. And see, because you've seen Deadpool and Wolverine, you're already kind of familiar with X-23.
Yeah, no, I know all about Laura and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, very interesting to see what you make of this movie.
We're reaching the end here. We've only got like about a month of movies left.
Now we've decided we're not doing the TV shows. Holy shit,
Yes.
Best decision we've made, Kyle. Best decision we've made. Another good decision that we could make, Kyle, though, is telling people where they can find us online. Kyle.
Of course. Well, people can of course find me at Kyle the God on YouTube, where I do video essays and game critiques. I'm between projects right now, but you know, we'll do something.
Always
Nathan, where can the people
cooking up
find you?
something, Kyle, aren't you? The people
Always.
The people online can find me, as always, at all social media hosting sites such as Twitter, Mastodon, Threads, Blue Sky, maybe coming back to Hive. We'll see. No movement on that front yet.
Oh, that is a shame. I was hoping for an update.
It's a real big shame. Yeah, we're waiting for that update. And of course, in Kyle's comment section from time to time. A good idea that you could also do whilst waiting for our episodes, you could check out our entire back catalogue for all of Name Not Included's content. That includes Name Not Included and Enter the Snyderverse, where we looked at all the DCEU movies prior to this current project, and of course all of these previous episodes of Enter the X-Verse. Thank you so much for listening, and you can hear us next week for Logan.